Welcome! This presentation will provide examples of ISTEP Plus Experience Online English Language Arts questions. ISTEP Plus Experience Online is available to students and teachers to help them become familiar with the ISTEP Plus online assessment environment, learn how to properly respond to different item types, and learn how to use the online tools that will be available during the assessment. ISTEP Plus Experience Online is a tool that provides educators and students with the opportunity to familiarize themselves with the testing environment and technology-enhanced and constructed response item types prior to the testing window. By experiencing the technology-related aspects of testing, students can be prepared to show what they know on the online assessment. Please note that ISTEP Plus Experience Online is not meant to be a pretest or a diagnostic tool that can determine how well a student will perform on ISTEP Plus. Constructed response and technology-enhanced items that are passage-based are built to provide a deeper and more real-world assessment and testing experience for students. Including these item types on ISTEP Plus encourages the use of higher-order thinking skills to analyze passages and allows students to experience authentic applications of knowledge. The list shown on this slide provides examples of the English language arts passages in constructed response and technology-enhanced item types that a student may encounter while taking the ISTEP Plus online assessment. Please note that constructed response items are found on ISTEP Plus Part 1 only. All technology-enhanced item types shown in this presentation are found on ISTEP Plus Part 2 only. An example of each item type and how to respond to each item type will be reviewed in the coming slides. For many English language arts items, students will read a passage that displays on the left side of the screen. Students will scroll through the passage as they read using the scroll bar on the right of the passage. Experience ISTEP Plus provides an opportunity to practice this skill. When a test item is based on a passage, the item will appear on the right half of the screen. Some items are larger than others and may also require scrolling. When this is the case, another scroll bar appears to the right of the item. In some cases, students will be required to read a pairing of texts. The first passage will appear with directions indicating that the text is paired with another passage. Students will answer questions for the first passage first. A second passage will follow with questions about a second passage. Finally, both passages will appear together on a screen with passage tabs that students can click on to see both passages. This will occur for the questions that ask about both passages as shown here. This is an example of an open-ended item. In English language arts, there are two different types of open-ended items that appear on ISTEP Plus: constructed response and essay. The purpose of including this open-ended item on experience is to allow educators to see the requirements and to allow students to practice typing a response to this item within the TestNav 8 environment. This is a constructed response question typical of the type of item students will encounter on Part 1 of the ISTEP Plus. Students have a field in which to type their responses. Constructed response questions like this should be answered with short responses. All open-ended items have a character limit of 10,000 characters. The characters will count down as the student uses up space within the response area. The writing prompt works in the same manner. However, those responses should be written as an essay. Students use the spacebar to indent. This is an example of a multiple correct response item. In this item, students are instructed to select two answers. English language arts multiple correct response items indicate how many answer choices a student should select, and the correct number of responses always appears in capital letters. An orange box like the one shown in the upper right corner of this slide will pop up if a student tries to select more than one of the requested number of responses. Students will still need to make sure they are selecting the minimum number of responses. A box will not appear if they have not selected the minimum number of responses. This is an example of a drag and drop item. In this case, students must drag tiles into the appropriate boxes. Other drag and drop items may require students to drag tiles while making sure to place them in the correct order. Please note that tiles may only be used one time within a question, will disappear from a list of tiles available once they've been used. When a tile may be used multiple times within a question, the tile remains on the list of tiles even after all the tiles have been placed. This item is an example of an inline choice item. These items have drop-down lists from which students must choose their responses. In the question shown here, there are two drop-down lists. A student can see the choices by clicking on the drop-down arrows shown in the right end of the box that says Choose. The student can then click on the appropriate answer choice and it will appear in the same place as Choose appeared previously. As you can see, the student chose Question for the first inline choice in this example and just opened the list of answer choices for the second one. There are always two or more answer choices in a drop-down list. And after their selection has been made, students are able to view their answer choices in the context of the sentence. This is an example of a two-part item, which includes a select text item type for Part B. In Part A, a student is being asked the meaning of a word that appears in the text. In Part B, the student is being asked to identify the context that provides a clue to the meaning of the word. When the student selects the highlighted text in Part B, the box turns blue. Other two-part items may also involve multiple choice or multiple correct response items in Part B. This is another type of select text item where students select text within the context of a passage, much like they are highlighting pieces of text. The question on the right half of the screen will provide the range of paragraphs where students will be able to find the highlighted details or sentences. Students will select the number of answers indicated. As with the multiple correct item types, the number of responses necessary is capitalized and an orange box will pop up if a student tries to select more than the requested number of responses. This is an example of a table match item. In English Language Arts, these items allow students to select a different response for each row of the table. When a response is selected, a blue dot appears in the box. In this item, students select yes or no, depending on whether the sentences support or do not support a particular idea. Now let's look at some of the tools and features available to students on ISTEP Plus and ISTEP Experience. The Review tool can be found in the top menu bar. When clicked, students are able to see a list of all items in the current selection. Clicking on any question within the list will take the student directly to that question. At the bottom of the list of questions are three symbols. The symbol on the left is labeled All Questions and shows the total number of questions in the test section. The middle symbol is labeled Not Answered and shows an orange dot that contains a number of questions in the selection that have not yet been answered by the student. The symbol on the right is labeled Bookmarks and shows a blue ribbon that contains the number of questions a student has bookmarked in the test section. Students are able to see which questions have not been answered and which questions they have bookmarked by looking for an orange dot to the left of a question or a blue ribbon to the right of a question, respectively. With the Bookmark tool, students are able to bookmark items for later review by simply clicking on the Bookmark button in the menu bar above the test question. When the button becomes shaded and the ribbon on the button turns blue, the item has been bookmarked. Students are able to see which items they bookmarked via the Review tool, which was covered on the previous slide. In addition, the number of questions that have been bookmarked and the number of questions not answered within the test section are shown on the end of section screen, which appears to students before the section can be submitted. The highlighter tool is activated and pops up when a student clicks and drags over a piece of text. The student can select blue or pink for the color of the highlight. Clicking on the red slash removes the highlighting. The X button on the menu bar is the Answer Eliminator. The Answer Eliminator tool allows students to mark out answer choices that they know are incorrect. To use this tool, students need to click the Answer Eliminator button on the menu bar and then click on the answer choice or choices they wish to eliminate. Please note that students cannot select their response while the Answer Eliminator is enabled. To select a response for the item, students will need to click an arrow button next to the Answer Eliminator button to re-engage the mouse and then select their response. The Line Reader tool allows students to block out lines of text they are not currently focusing on so they can more easily read the paragraph or passage. The Line Reader tool can be enabled by clicking on the button to the right of the student name in the menu bar and then clicking on Show Line Reader Mask. When this has been selected, a gray box will appear on the screen as shown above. Clicking and dragging anywhere in the box will move the entire box. Clicking and dragging the 4-arrow icon, which we have highlighted by placing an orange box around it, will move the reading pane up, down, left, or right within the gray box. Clicking and dragging the 3 angled lines on the lower right of the reading pane, which is highlighted in blue here, will change the size of the reading pane. Clicking and dragging the 3 angled lines in the lower right of the gray box, highlighted in green here, will change the size of the gray box. Students can remove the line reader tool by clicking Show Line Reader Mask a second time. In addition to the previously mentioned tools, there are some helpful features in TestNav 8. For example, some passages contain footnoted words. In the online environment, those words will appear with a dotted underline. When the student clicks on the word, a glossary definition pops up as shown on the slide. Scrolling away from the word will make the definition disappear. An optional feature that can be used is the background-foreground color, also known as color contrast settings. The menu of options for color contrast can be found by clicking on the button to the right of the student name in the menu bar and then clicking on Change the background and foreground color. When the menu appears, a student can select from any of the choices shown. Once the selection has been made, clicking the X in the upper right corner of the contrast settings list will close it. Please note, some students may want to make a different selection than black and white in order to help them read the text for each item, but most students will not need to make changes to these settings. While this feature is available for all students, it's recommended that it only be used by those students who have this accommodation requirement in their IEPs. If you have any questions about this or other presentations or documents on the IDOE website that are related to assessment, please feel free to contact the Office of Student Assessment. Thank you for listening.